Macbeth is not only the story of a Scottish general who rose to power through blood, it is the story of human ambition, of the dangerous fire that burns in every heart when desire is not restrained by conscience. It is about the corrupting hunger for power, the illusions of fate, and the weight of guilt that no crown can hide. Shakespeare takes us into the mind of a man who begins as a hero but ends as a tyrant, showing us how easily greatness can fall when tempted by destiny and driven by unchecked desire. The story begins with victory. Macbeth, a loyal and courageous general, has fought bravely for King Duncan of Scotland. He is celebrated as a hero. The air around him is full of honor, and his name is spoken with pride. But when victory fades, whispers of something darker appear. On a lonely heath, beneath a sky of thunder, Macbeth and his friend Banquo encounter three witches, strange creatures who seem to belong to another world. Their words are simple, but they open a door that cannot be closed. They greet Macbeth as Thane of Glamis, Thane of Cawdor, and most dangerously, as the future king. To Banquo, they give a different riddle. He will not be king, but his descendants will wear the crown. At first, Macbeth listens with curiosity, even doubt. But when the prophecy of Cawdor comes true within moments, the seed of ambition begins to grow. It is only a whisper in his mind, but whispers have power. He begins to wonder, if fate has promised me a crown, must I not reach out my hand and take it? Lady Macbeth becomes the echo of this dark thought. When she reads his letter about the witch's prophecy, her soul burns with hunger for power. She fears that Macbeth is too gentle, too filled with the milk of human kindness to seize what destiny has offered. She pours poison into his ears, not literal poison, but words sharper than any blade. She mocks his courage, questions his manhood, and tells him that if he does not strike, he will never be the man he should be. And so, the thought of murder that flickered in Macbeth's heart bursts into flame. King Duncan, unsuspecting and trusting, comes to Macbeth's castle as a guest. That night, Macbeth walks into his chamber with a dagger, trembling with fear. He knows this act is against loyalty, against morality, against God himself. Yet ambition blinds him. He kills Duncan in his sleep, and with this act the world changes forever. He has gained a crown, but he has lost his peace. He hears voices crying out, "Sleep no more." Macbeth has murdered sleep. His hands are stained with blood that no water can wash away. Lady Macbeth tells him to be strong, to hide his weakness, but guilt has already taken root. From this moment, Macbeth's crown becomes a burden heavier than iron. He cannot rest. He cannot trust anyone. Banquo, his loyal friend, now appears to him as a threat, for the witches had said that Banquo's descendants would inherit the throne. Macbeth fears this prophecy more than anything else. What use is a crown if it will not remain with him and his children? So he turns his hand against Banquo, arranging his murder. Banquo dies, but his son Fleance escapes into the night. At a royal feast, Macbeth sees Banquo's ghost sitting in his chair. No one else can see it, but to Macbeth it is more real than the living. He cries out in terror, shocking his guests, who whisper that their king has lost his mind. His mask of control begins to slip, and the cracks of madness spread across his soul. Desperate, he returns to the witches. They feed him new visions, riddles that sound like promises. They tell him that no man born of a woman shall harm him, and that he will never be defeated until Birnam Wood comes to Dunsinane. These words fill him with false confidence. He believes he is untouchable, destined to rule forever. But prophecy is never clear, and what sounds like protection is often a trap. Meanwhile, Lady Macbeth, who once poured courage into her husband's heart, begins to collapse under the weight of guilt. At night she walks in her sleep, her hands rubbing as if to wash away invisible blood. "Out, damned spot!" she cries, but the stains of murder are in her soul, not on her skin. Her strength breaks, and at last she falls into madness, ending her life in despair. Macbeth, though shaken by her death, cannot mourn. He has become hardened, consumed by power and paranoia. His enemies gather against him. Malcolm, Duncan's rightful heir, leads an army to overthrow the tyrant. They march toward Dunsinane, and in order to hide their numbers, they cut branches from Burnham wood and carry them as camouflage. Thus, the prophecy comes true. Burnham wood appears to move against Macbeth. Still, Macbeth clings to the witch's other words, that no man born of a woman can harm him. He believes himself invincible. On the battlefield, he fights with the fury of desperation, striking down all who oppose him. But when he faces Macduff, the truth is revealed. Macduff was not born in the ordinary way. He was cut from his mother's womb before her time. Untimely ripped, he says, and with those words the last of Macbeth's illusions shatter. He realizes the witches never lied, but they deceived him with half-truths. Fate has trapped him in his own ambition. In the final moment, Macbeth chooses not to beg, not to surrender, but to fight until the end. Yet he falls beneath Macduff's blade, his blood paying the price of his crimes. With his death, the crown passes back to its rightful line, and Scotland breathes again. But the tragedy of Macbeth is not simply his downfall. It is the tragedy of ambition itself. It shows how a man can begin as noble and honorable, yet fall because he listens to the whispers of desire. It shows how power, once tasted, can turn love into madness, loyalty into betrayal, and courage into cruelty. It shows that fate may speak, but it is human choice that gives fate its teeth. Macbeth is every human being who has ever desired more than life has offered, who has ever been tempted to seize greatness at any cost, who has ever believed that destiny excused their actions. And it is a warning that ambition without conscience is a poison that kills not only the one who drinks it, but all those around him. In Macbeth's fall, we see the truth that crowns made of blood cannot last, and that the hands which grasp power too tightly will one day find them empty. His story ends in death, but its echo remains, whispering to every generation, "Be careful what you desire, for desire can destroy you."